everyone, and welcome to this episode of Bassman Studio. I'm Charles Bassman, and today I'm drawing outside here in Prospect Park, Brooklyn. And I started drawing a few days ago, so I'm just going to talk about the materials I'm using and how it's progressing. So sit back and relax. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy this episode of Bassman Studio. So here's our subject on a beautiful summer day in Prospect Park. This is called the Veil of Cashmere. And usually I start searching for an area I really like. So once I find it, I open up my tool kit, and here I have red chalk, black chalk, and white chalk. So I'm using all three materials for this drawing, just for variety. And you can see this drawing is already far along. So right now, all I'm doing is adding any essential elements to the drawing that I feel like haven't been added yet. So what I'm doing is going around the drawing. I'm not focusing on just one particular area, but I'm going around the drawing, just like I would a painting. You don't want to focus too much on one small area, but because it's such a large sheet of paper and it's such a large subject matter, you just want to be open to everything that's going on around, basically. So anything that enhances the drawing. So right now I'm just adding things to the foreground. That's the area right directly in front. And any shadows that need to be darkened, I go back and I darken them. Anything to enhance the drawing. And this paper is just a light shade of blue, which is beautiful when you put white highlights on it. So I'm just going around putting shadows where they need to be, and adding more information in the drawing. So you can see that it's pretty far along. So now I'm just going and adding any really small details that I feel need to be added. And if I feel that shadows aren't dark enough, I go back and I darken them. And you want to think of, well, what is it that you want to convey? Like if it's something, you could exaggerate the lights and the darks, so you don't really have to follow everything to literally what's there. You could also use your artistic license and exaggerate if need be. If you want to exaggerate like any detail or even change the composition a little bit, you could do that. And I always start with an idea in mind, like what I want to convey, even before I start anything. So I know that with this drawing I like to convey a lot of sense of pattern. So you can see I'm adding some of the white chalk in the sky. So although it's a black and white drawing, I'm adding just a hint of color, such as this red chalk, which just gives it a little bit more of like a prominence. And as I do that, I could always switch, as I'm doing back to charcoal. So you want to keep going. You want to add any detail that you feel is missing. And here I'm using a very dark pastel, just to give the darkest darks a little bit more power. And this goes on very dark, so I don't want to overdo it. I just want to put it where I believe it needs to be put, just to help the drawing. And that'll help bring things forward also in the foreground. So don't be afraid to experiment with new materials, but I always feel like in moderation is good at first, since you just don't know sometimes how far you need to go with materials, like to have your work have your drawing work. So you don't want to overdo it, but just a hint. As you can see, I'm not putting it all over. And right now I'm just polishing up like the final details on the drawing. And going around and making sure I'm not missing anything. And just adding shadow where it needs to be. And lastly, working on a little bit more on the foreground. And here's our finished drawing for today in Prospect Park. Well, I hope you enjoyed that lesson from Bassman Studio. Remember, any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned for new videos coming soon from Bassman Studio. Also, if anyone would wish to see a new lesson, something I haven't gone over before, please let me know and I'll certainly consider it. So remember, go out there, create beautiful work, don't be afraid, don't let fear stop you from being expressive, and remember, always brush up your skills. Have a great and amazing day, everyone.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.